Honourable Senators, I rise today in support of Bill S-259, the Frozen Assets Repurposing Act. Honourable colleagues, when it comes to the global refugee system, and most particularly when it comes to sexual and gender-based violence, it is clear that accountability is in short supply. Voices of displaced people, especially women, girls, and people with diverse sexual orientation and gender identities, are too often ignored. The World Refugee Council reports that more than half of the world's refugees and internally displaced people are women and girls, who are too often viewed solely as victims and excluded from decision-making processes and leadership opportunities. In addition to their ongoing vulnerability to sexual and gender-based violence before, during, and in the aftermath of their displacement, women play a crucial role in keeping their communities and families together through crises. Sexual and gender-based violence is endemic in refugee situations, most particularly because of the increased marginalization that results from displacement, lack of resources, uncertain legal status, and social isolation. As those working with and on behalf of victims of violence in Canada know, those who seek to sexually exploit women and children target those who are most at risk by factors such as race, disability, class, and impoverished circumstances. Stigmatization, as well as targeting for trafficking, forced marriage, and domestic violence are also far too common in situations of displacement. These types of constant threats, founded on pre-existing gender inequalities, increase violence against women and violence on the basis of sexual orientation during displacement. Just as we see with violence against women domestically, gender-specific crimes against humanity, including sexual assault and exploitation, forced pregnancy, forced sterilization, are often particularly difficult to prosecute as crimes against humanity. There's clearly an urgent need to ensure that international justice mechanisms uphold human rights for all and respond to these systemic violations against the displaced. In this regard, Bill S-259 is a step in the right direction. As Senator Omidvar outlined, by providing an independent and transparent process for the confiscation and repurposing of foreign assets, this bill could help eliminate the apparent assumption that foreign officials can use Canada as a safe haven for their illegitimate gains. When we allow dictators, human rights abusers, and kleptocrats, governments with corrupt leaders, to shelter their assets in Canada, we become complicit in their actions. Canada has presented itself internationally as a human rights leader. In order to live up to that reputation, we must uphold the rights of those who are most at risk, both abroad and at home. As we work to redress the legacy of colonialism and oppression within our borders, our own borders, this bill provides us with an opportunity to insist on the protection of human rights internationally. We must promote transparency and accountability and dismantle and remedy the systemic inequalities, injustice, and discrimination in the global refugee system. It is time to recast the system to protect those who are fleeing danger, assist host countries, alleviate fears, hold leaders to account, and reestablish international cooperation. I support this bill and its aims to ensure that Canada does its part in building a more fair and just global refugee system. Thank you. Merci. Miigwech.